tempered by a sailor's service in the war, and broadened by the test of his experience in a city cabaret. A new thought cleaved through my perplexities like an arrow shot from a far-off place. "How much do you both trust me?" I slowly asked. "I do not mean trust my character or my good intentions. But how much confidence have you in my sanity and common sense? Would you believe a thing because I told it to you? Or would you say, 'This is outside usual experience. He is deceiving us, or mad?'" They regarded one another, smiling with an exquisite intimacy of understanding. "Don't you see yourself one little bit, cousin?" she wondered at me. "Anything you say goes all the way with us," Vere corroborated. "Wait," I bade. "Drink your coffee while I think." "Please drink yours, Cousin Roger, all fresh and hot." I emptied the cup she urged upon me, then leaned my forehead in my hands and tried to review the situation. They obeyed like well-bred children, settling down on a cushioned seat together, and taking their coffee as prettily as a pair of parakeets. They seemed almost children to me, although there was little difference in years between Vere and myself. But then I stood on the brink where years stopped. With the next night, my triumphant enemy could be put off no longer. That I could not doubt. I cannot say that I was unafraid, yet fear weighed less upon me than a heavy sense of solemnity and realization of the few hours left during which I could affect the affairs of life. What remained to be done? On one of my visits to New York, I had called on my lawyer and made my will. There were a few pensioners for whom provision should continue after my death. The aged music master under whom I developed such abilities as I had, who was crippled now by rheumatism and otherwise dependent on a hard-faced son-in-law, the three small daughters of a dead friend, an actor, whose care and education at a famous school of classic dancing I had promised him to finance. A few such obligations had been provided for, and the rest was for Phillida. But now, what of Desire Michell? She had seemed so apart from common existence that I never had thought of her possible needs any more than of the needs of a bird that darted in and out of my windows. Until tonight, when I had seen her and she had proved herself all woman by her appeal to Ethan Vere. It was not a spirit or a seeress or "ye foul witch" Desire Michell, who had fled to him for help in rescuing me. It was simply a terrified girl. What was to become of this girl? Under what circumstances did she dwell? Had she a home, or did she need one? Could I care for this matter while I was here? Day was so far advanced that a clamor of birds came in to us along with a freshening air. The strangely persistent fog had not lifted, but the lamps already looked wan and faded in the new light. I switched them out before speaking to the pair who watched me. "I have a story to tell you both," I said. "The beginning of it Phillida has already heard. Perhaps have you told Vere about the woman who visited this room the first night I spent in the house, who cut her hair and left the braid in my hand to escape from me?" "Yes," she nodded, wide-eyed. "Will you go to my chiffonier there in the alcove and bring a package wrapped in a white silk from the top drawer?" She did as she was asked, and laid the square of folded silk before me. I put back the covering, showing that sumptuous braid. The rich fragrance of the gold pomander wrapped with it filled the air like a vivifying elixir. Phillida gathered up the braid with a cry of envious rapture. "Oh, the gorgeous thing! How do some lucky girls have hair like that? If it was unbound, my two hands could not hold it all. What a pity to have cut it! Look, Ethan, how it crinkles and glitters." She held it out to him, extended across her palms. Vere refrained from touching the braid, surveying it where it lay. Being a mere bachelor, I had no idea of Phillida's emotions, until Vere's usual gravity broke in a mischievous, heart-warming smile into the brown eyes uplifted to him. "Beautiful," he agreed politely. No more. But as I saw the wistful envy pass quite away from my little cousin's plain face and leave her content, I advanced in respect for him. In the beginning, it was even harder to speak than I had anticipated. When Phillida laid the braid back in its wrapping, I left it uncovered before me and looked at its reassuring reality rather than at my listeners. How, I wondered, could anyone be expected to credit the story I had to tell? How should I find words to embody it? Only at first. Whether there clung about me some atmosphere of that land between the worlds where I so recently had stood, or the room indeed kept, as I fancied, the melancholy chill of the unseen tide that had washed through it, I met no skepticism from the two who heard my tale of wild experience. They did not interrupt me. Phillida crept close to her husband, putting her hand in his, but she did not exclaim or question. Silence held us all for a while after I had finished. I had a discouraged sense of inadequacy. After all, they had received but a meager outline. The color and body of the events escaped speech. How could they feel what I had felt? How could they conceive the charm of Desire Michell, the white magic of her voice in the dark, the force of her personality that could impress her image sight unseen beyond all time to erase? How convey to a listener that, understanding her so little, I yet knew her so well? "I have told you all this because I need your help," I said presently. "Will you give it to me?" "Go away!" Phillida burst forth. She beat her palms together in her earnestness. "Cousin Roger, take your car and go away, far off. Go where nothing can reach you. You must not spend another single night here. Ethan will go with you. I will too, if you want us. You must not be left alone until you are quite safe. Perhaps in New York?" "And Desire Michell?" "She is in no danger, I suppose. She is not my cousin anyhow. And even she told you to go away." "You believe my story, then? You do not think me suffering from delusions?" "Ethan saw the girl, too. If he had not come here in time to save you, I believe you would have died in that terrible stupor. Besides, I have seen for weeks that something was changing you." "What does Vere say?" I questioned, studying the absorbed gravity of his expression. I wondered what I myself would have said if anyone had brought me such a story. He passed his arm around Phillida, and drew her to him with a quieting, protective movement. His regard met mine with more significance than he chose to voice. "I'm satisfied to take the thing as you tell it, Mr. Locke," he answered. "Phil is right, it seems to me, about you not staying here. I don't think the young lady ought to stay either." "She refuses to leave, Vere. What can I offer her that I have not offered? How can I find her? You have heard how I searched the countryside for a hint of such a girl's presence. No one has ever seen her, or else someone lies very cleverly." In the pause, Phillida hesitatingly ventured an idea. Perhaps she is not real.